La mer qu'on voit danser le long des golfes clairs a des reflets d'argent. La mer, des reflets changeants sous la pluie. La mer au ciel des...
Soft going. It's going to be very quick and very rapid and very crude at first, but it will gradually tighten up. Now, my ethos, if I was giving you tips, give us some tips for the day, Pete. You'll hear me keep saying it in my films, but if you start loose, you can finish tight. If you start tight, it's hard to go loose, isn't it? Makes sense. So if we start loose and then get tighter and tighter and tighter, you are the one that's in control. Now the next thing is to make life easy for you. You might look at that painting over there with the children, or this poppy one, and say, my God, how do I start? Where do I start? You know, with all these flowers. And keep the whole painting going as much as you can at the same time. If I'm using a colour here, I might well use it somewhere else while I'm on the go, because it saves me mixing it later, but I'm doing comparative colours all of the time. So in this case, if I said to you, the saying would be, put the right colours, comparative one to another, in the right places, in the right shapes. Whichever way you put that doesn't really matter, but the right colours, in the right shapes, comparative one to another, in the right places, like a jigsaw, all over. And as long as you do that, the painting will gradually fit together. It'll be there. You haven't got to worry about painting a figure, or painting a dog, or painting a horse. Some of the worst things I've seen with some of the amateur exhibitions is that, you know, somebody paints a dog on, and it stands out like a sore thumb, because they've painted it afterwards in a completely different style, in all this detail. Keep the whole thing in the same style, in the same way, and gradually build it up. An example of that, when I was a student, I was at Camberwell, and I came back and I was painting a lovely standard rose bush in my parents' garden. And could I get these roses right? I thought the rest of the background, everything was working, but these roses wouldn't. And it was because just that, I was trying to paint them differently. And when I painted them like the facets of a jewel, each colour one to another, relevant, forgot they were roses completely, the roses just appeared. But if I tried to paint the roses, they were coming out like something plastic from a, you know. Right, a little bit of cerulean blue now, which is a lovely colour, and a little touch of warm in that, just to get it a little bit warmer. A little bit of touch of the rose, just pass them around when people have got them for later. I'm glad they've done those. Yeah, ask questions as you like as you go along. An Impressionist technique is best done with acrylics, or with pastels, or with oils, because you can keep these colours separate and they don't blend in one to another unless you want them to. Now, I've now put two colours on. What I'm going to do is blend those one into another with little short strokes like this. I'm going to do the edge first, all the way down. And I shall come across these with more colour later. So I'm bringing the blue into the pink there. At first this seems quite dark because we're working against a white canvas. With the landscape behind me, I painted a very dark ground on first. I'd like to work onto a dark ground if possible. And put the lighter colours straight on top, because I need to cover this white as quickly as I can or it gets in my way. So just little short strokes, blending that in. And cerulean is one of our coolest blues. Now in every colour you've got, there's a warm and a cool. Cerulean is more turquoise, it's more icy, then we go up to cobalt, then we go up to ultramarine. Now this is going on already. Now as I start to paint these darker colours on, it'll make more sense to you. These colours that seem quite dark at first will go much lighter, because I'm going darker and darker and darker as I go along. With a bit of ultramarine, I reckon. That's one of my warmer blues. You're very quiet. If you want to ask any questions about anything, you can talk about watercolour if you want. I don't mind. Talk about what you like. To ask any questions, do. Cardboard's quite nice to paint on actually, because it does tend to be very absorbent, and even if you've primed it, it's still quite fun. You can paint very rapidly onto that. and the paint will, this paint that I'm doing now, this thinner paint, would actually soak in.
No need to prime it then?
Doesn't seem to need it really. I mean, it's nice to, but I've worked, I mean, if you're putting acrylic on anyway, it's the same as putting an acrylic primer on, and you can actually use the brown of the board coming through it, you know, if you want to. As Constable did, if you see, he put a deep brown ground on and let his branches stay behind and painted the landscape behind, and the branches were there, you know. So, yeah, with the oils, again, I was a bit concerned at first, but no, it seems to work. A little bit of that with some cobalt, just to take it down a little bit more. It's rather too yellow. Oh, I'm in the wrong. What am I doing?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so close up to it. I'm in the wrong place. This
Yes.
one. That's all on film. Outtakes. I had a lovely one yesterday because I was painting poppies in the wind and the camera blew away and the easel blew across. Well, even though it's a little canvas, I've actually had to tie my easels down at times. I want to do more broken colour in the sea as well because I want a bit more vibrance in those waves. This colour, you know, I get people asking me, what colour do you paint sand, what colour do you paint a sky? It depends entirely on the light. It's like the broken colour on that one of the woman there in the poppy field. I mean, who paints a sky with those colours of pinks and blues? And you've got to see these and learn how to pull those colours out to make the vibrance. In the same way now I've got to look at a base colour and say, what's the main colour there? The main colour there, yellow ochre. That's something my students say to me because often they can't mix a colour. I'm so used to doing it, I can look at any of these colours and say that would be that, that and that. So that's going to be yellow ochre, a little touch of burnt sienna, first of all, and then mauves into it later are going to make the mixture. So I'll take a nice big slab of yellow ochre, I'm going to need plenty of it. A little bit of the burnt sienna, which is far too dark at the moment. It's going to have to be lightened up, so take some white. White is a body colour. A body colour means that it's an opaque colour that will cover your canvas. That's not far out, a little bit lighter. And perhaps a tad yellow, well, not much, but just a little bit more yellow. But I can put more of that in afterwards. That will do. So that's what I'm going to use as my base colour down here. Just leave some of these, because I've got to get this canvas covered as fast as I can. I really do need to get rid of all this white canvas. I spend the time, I've been asked to do the Manby show for the children coming up in July in the church, and I shall make a comment about every single child. Nobody's a loser. There's no losers. They've tried, they've done the work, they need to be given confidence. So when I judge an Art Society exhibition, I go round and I make a comment about every single one, and what I feel is good about them, what I feel could, you know, the same way, a little crit, and then I'll explain why I awarded what I did to those that I did. Because everybody should be a winner and have a comment. It's personal, this work is personal. I don't go there saying you're crap, you know, that wouldn't do you any good at all, you'd hate me, and, you know. So I'm there to give you confidence and to help you find new ways. And I want a bit more warmth into this. Really start to mix my colours and start to look harder. Now, we're talking about the opposites in the colour circle. I'm not painting entirely as I would do normally because I'm trying to show you the various colours that I'm going on and why and how they work. This purple area here, let's really start to get some fun colours into that. I'm going to take some ultramarine and go straight in there. I'm really going to push these colours. I'm going to paint very loosely now. If I make a cock up, so what? You know, you can laugh and you can see it was no good, but I've got to enjoy and I've got to explore and I've got to show you the fun of painting. Right, that's that blue coming in. Now let's take some of the purple, some violet into that and mix that in. This paint, some of it's, this canvas is actually, it is a cheaper canvas, so the canvas is giving me a few minor problems. Some warm going into that there, to that shadow. And remember that in shadows there are both warms and cools. They're not just black, they're not just grey. And what is grey? There are so many variations of grey. Let me give you oil painters a tip. Try mixing sometime Viridian green and alizarin crimson and see the beautiful grey you get. A little bit of white with that. For your skies, for the various greys, you then come back to the other greys, your normal greys of adding blue and brown, which will give you a simple grey. But you try that one I've just said, and you see the colour, wonderful, wonderful grey you can get with that, for instance. Warm into there. So it isn't a matter of yellow for sand and pink for skin and the effects of light and one thing to another and the time of day. Every single painting should be different. Every single painting has to capture that moment and that particular time. A bit muddy, but just to get rid of that. Now I can put some colour over there. Right. those pure greens that are in there. How you use a brush is very important. I'm working fat over lean. I'm putting lean paint on first, thinner coats on first, and then painting the fatter colours over the top. I'm using my various warm and cool greens at the moment, one to another as well, to give more of a vibrance. Down to those blues again. These little bits of almost pure red going on in the darker bits here. Shadows. Right, leave that for the minute. That's loose enough. Don't want to go too far. Keep everything going. The yellow of that towel. While I'm at it, let's play that colour in there to see how strong it is. And then you can see how warm that yellow is that I made earlier. It's not as yellow as you might have thought. Take the cream I've got from here, and we'll see. So that blue is that. Yes, that's better. Now you see how much yellower, more cerulean that is than that. So it's comparing one colour to another all the time. Mixing the paint on the canvas there. Painting that arm very roughly at the moment. I'm going to make very rapid colour judgments to just try and get these colours on to show you. It's another thing as well, when you're making a light colour, there's simple things to remember, little rules, but you know, start with your white and then put the colour into it. Don't start with the colour and put the white into it, you'll end up with a gallon.
Pictures. What do you do with them when you've done?
Now that's another thing, yes, I built up a massive amount. I sold off 15 years of my work as I came from France to here, and it was gutting. It was a terrible experience for me because I wasn't sure what I was coming back to in England. I had a big gallery in France, and I thought I'll go the direction of trying to help people again, Haiti Relief. So I gave 25% to Haiti Relief from the sales. And I was worried from the start because the guy wasn't following the catalogue, he wasn't getting my style right, he was getting all sorts of mistakes going on. You see that cream now, you see it's all light colours one to another. I'm trying to make it sparkle now. And I got a call at the airport. The removals people were really good. They dropped off my stuff free of charge. And he said, oh, would I give my credit card because he wanted £250 to store the paintings. I said, well, that's a painting gone then. You're the auctioneers, you should be storing it, surely. What's going on here? Oh, well, I don't want it to get damaged. And all right, then you'll get some of it back. And I got 40 quid back in the end. And then the work got lost, work got damaged. He put work in below the reserves, he put work in blocks and batches of work. I wasn't able to deal with it because I was just coming back from England. And I finished up from £30,000 worth of catalogue value at cheaper prices with 500 quid. And Haiti got 480, and that wasn't just my artwork, that was my entire pottery as well. So you can imagine how I felt after that, totally devalued, you know. So it's taken me a while to get life together again now, and this is another reason why I enjoy demonstrating and doing. But it isn't just about money; it's about giving pleasure and enjoyment, and yeah. But you know, people do place value on money as well, right? Hopefully I've given you the idea of enough of how it works now. I'm just going to, you know, obviously do as much as I can while I've got 5 minutes left. So I go down in brushes. Same in watercolour, start with your biggest brushes and finish with your smallest, but there are still exceptions to the rule. The demonstration I'm doing in Cleethorpes next we'll do salient points first. Look for those colours, salient points first, and then finish with a very loose way of working. Okay for now? Yeah, and I can go on and on and on, but it's just to give you the strength of colour, the way of working, the blocking and blending, the gradually working up loosely, and I mean I can do a little bit more, but don't need to do much. It's just to give you